Welcome back to the channel. I do have an update for you guys, so stick around because we're diving back into the Predator. Alright guys, welcome back. We're just hanging out in the garage today. I have the generator up on the workbench. You might hear Kai and Mari working on the other side of the garage, but I was hoping that my solution worked last time from the previous video, but it's still leaking somewhere. I really don't know where it's coming from. I'm kind of thinking that it's still oil residue from previous oil changes, kind of sitting on the bottom. I already took off the front plate with the oil fill side. I'll just put that back over here somewhere. So I've been looking in here, and there's no really good spot. Like there's a bunch of like little pockets down on the floor here that just hold debris and oil. So previous oil changes that kind of get messy and they kind of get all over the place. So it might be residual a little bit. I did notice where the oil drain plug is, there's a little, almost looks like it's leaking a little bit, little oil kind of coming around there. I don't know if it's from just tightening it down, it's just been sitting there. I highly doubt it since I haven't even used that oil passage or the drain plug for a while. I did notice around this, now this is an aftermarket oil fill. It's actually magnetic. It's from GeneratorUpgradeSupply.com, which they have a whole bunch of parts for this kind of like an auto start, which is pretty neat, little keyless auto start. They have this magnetic oil fill plug right here, or dipstick, kind of like all in one, which is pretty nice, especially for these Predators since they're so dirty. It's such a dirty engine. You have to do oil changes constantly. The oil is always black. They run really, really rich. They just dump excess fuel in there. So that's why you have to change spark plugs all the time. There are kits out there that talk about like calibrating the carburetor where you could change the jets in it. There's little jets for it to lean it out a little bit so it's a more efficient burn. But I'm not trying to do all that. Really, it works great for me. Could it be better, even that much better, if I adjust the carb? Of course. Could have been worse. Knowing my mechanic skills, probably. So we're just gonna go ahead and today what we're doing is I'm gonna be pulling the spark plug, checking the spark plug to see, because it does have, I don't know, probably 100 hours on the spark plug. So I'm just gonna check it. I might not need to replace it. Fires up all the time. You know, doesn't seem to be missing, so I don't know if I'm gonna have to change it. If I do, then I'll just go ahead and change it since I'm already here. It's easy enough. I'm also gonna be pulling this back side out where the exhaust is, because I'm also gonna be cleaning that spark arrestor. This is very important. If you guys haven't seen my other videos, you have to clean that spark arrestor. It gets clogged quick because all that debris from the ignition process, all that crap, because it's not a clean burn because of the carburetor, it's a lot of fuel in there, it gets clogged, and then once that gets clogged, it just spirals and gets worse and worse and worse. So I do have a previous story over in Jeeping with Judd. I was out there. We did have some of the off-road members, the Prodigy off-road members. They had this generator, they were trying to run their RV, and it was just not working at all. So of course they know I have these videos out there, and I was diving into these generators. So they called me over there, and the first thing I did was I talked about that spark arrestor. It was literally blocked. So just imagine your exhaust in your car, and you're just trying to, and you shove a potato in there, or you block that. Your car might start, but it's barely gonna run. So I had them clean that out, fired up they didn't have a problem the rest of the weekend. So we're looking to clean that. I do have my Harbor Freight special right here, sticking with the Harbor Freight theme. Harbor Freight Sonic Cleaner. So I'll be filling this up with a little hot water, putting that in there, and cleaning that. And but right now, let's start with the spark plug. Let me pull that out and see what it looks like. All right, so this I guess it doesn't really matter what size ratchet wrench you have. You could probably use a 1/4 inch. I probably wouldn't go 1/4 inch because it's kind of tiny. Usually they're tiny, they're not long. You can't get a little torque on it. Not saying you really want to torque a spark plug too much, but these are kind of in there a little bit. And then I am using a 13th, 16th spark plug socket with a, I don't know, 6-inch extension, 8-inch extension, whatever. So just in case you want to do it yourself, those are the numbers. So let's pull this out here. Stick that baby right in there. There we go. Come on. Let's see. Once you get it going a little bit, you can just do it by your fingers. And this might be a little problem right here. Let me tighten that down. The top of this was actually loose. You can see where it actually came out. So I don't know if that was in the process of me taking it out, which it shouldn't be, because they're supposed to have a little rubber grommet in there. So the spark plug will, when you pull it, it'll just stick in there. But of course, it fell out and I lost it, and whatever. I do what I can. So that might have been causing a little bit of issue right there. I don't know how much, but let me just make sure that's tightened. Yeah, look at that carbon buildup on that. If you could, let me get the camera. See all that carbon? Look at that. Just from you could literally like chip it off. That's pretty dirty. So let me go see if I have a wire brush. Try to clean it up a little bit, try to save this one. I don't know if I have a spare. I might. Let me check my toolbox, but I'll be right back with you guys. All right, so I do have a couple spark plugs, so thank God I don't have to run out. And knowing my luck, the neighbor just started power washing their lanai, so I might have a little background noise, but don't mind that. So anyway, so it looks like the manual calls for a BPR6ES. If you see that, might be backwards for this camera, but BPR6ES. I do have, I think I have another 6. I do have a couple 7s, and this is an 8. So you could tell, I'll put the picture in there too, but you could tell the difference, but I'll try to show you too, if this gets there. The difference. See, this is the 8, the new one, and this is the one that just came out, the 6. You see how farther down that little, whatever you want to call it. I'm sure you guys out there are going to know the name of it, but the difference in height or depth of it. So I think the 6 is intense, like what they call a hotter plug, and this is a colder plug, the 8. I'm not really sure, or I might have that backwards. It really don't matter. It does matter to a certain extent because it does affect the performance, but I'm not going to worry about it. And then the plug gap calls for between a 0.27 and a 0.31. So this is right at like a 0.3, 0.31. So that is where how far the spark has to travel from one point to the next. Obviously, the smaller it is, but the smaller it is, the more power that's behind it. The bigger it is, the less power, but you have a lot more space. Might be talking out of my ass here, but whatever. It sounds good to me, so that's all that matters. And there's no one else around here to tell me differently. So, but I'm sure you guys will, or I'm sure there's some people, not all of people. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this one a go. Obviously, this one you can see how dirty it was, and Not saying that it performed bad, but I want to see. I was thinking about doing a 7, but since I have an 8, I want to try the 8. I want to try 2 sizes different, and I want to see how that performs. So I'll make sure I'll get back to you guys when I run this. We are going to go camping in a couple weeks with a couple friends of ours, so some primitive camping. So this one will be fired up, ready to go. So yeah, so make sure that your spark plug's properly gapped for installing. But you can see how dirty these things get. With these, everyone knows. I mean, you can probably tell from the channel. I have several videos on these things. I love them. I do plan on getting the 9500 inverter, the big one for the house. But I do love these things, but you got to maintenance them. It's not like a Honda where you can pretty much never change the oil in that thing. I don't suggest it, but you can never change the oil, never change the spark plug, and that thing will last for decades. It's not like that. However, it really doesn't come with the same price tag either. The same price tag for this versus now, they have upped this since I bought this. These are going on sale for $8.99 now. When I bought it, it was like $6.99. So they did increase the price. However, the comparable Honda is like $2,500. I mean, it's significantly more. So you get what you pay for. I mean, Honda is a really good generator, but I do know some Honda mechanics that have purchased the Predator. So let me get this in here, and then we'll work on to the next thing. Get this finger tight in here. My fat fingers trying to get in here. All right. Just down there. Come on. There we go. Now remember, you don't want to over tighten these things. You want to get a good snug fit. Maybe right beyond snug, maybe like an 1/8 of a turn. You don't want to be cranking on this thing, because if you break it, it's time for you to get another generator, because it ain't gonna be worth retapping a new thing in there. And oh my god, I wouldn't want to mess with it. So be careful about that. Just get its finger snug. Put your socket on there. Kind of crank it just a little tighter, and that's it. You don't want to be putting any real torque on that. All right. Plug that in there. Now, let's start cleaning that spark arrestor. All right, if you guys aren't really familiar, I know the guys are familiar. This is gonna be boring, but this is where the exhaust side and this little grate right here is the spark arrestor. So, what you need to do, I'm sure you could probably try to finagly screw these screws at it through this little opening here, but I just make it easy. Just pull this whole front face, this front thing, whatever you want to call it, and pull it off. So let me go ahead and do that. There. I'll do these for some reason. There. All right. I've got a little socket wrench. Here's a charger 10. No, it's only a thing. Easy. Hey, get in here. So I got my 8mm with a 1/4 inch wrench. Oh, come on. Oh boy. Oh man. Yeah. Yeah, this baby dirty. Like I said, I do keep up on this. I don't remember, I don't know how many hours I have on since the last time I cleaned it, but the carbon, you can see it coming off. You see that? That's sticking in your exhaust. I mean, you could barely even see through that thing. And that's what your engine's trying to breathe through. So, I mean, even just holding it, it's just coming out. There's a little pile that fell out. So this is everything. I'm going to stick into the sonic cleaner and to give it a good little clean. So let me go set this up with some hot water. Turn the hot water on and get a good clean out of it. I'm just going to be cleaning this with hot water. You can put a cleaning solution in these sonic cleaners. I just tend not to do that. I'm sure you could find a good one that cleans a little bit better. I just do simple water. Maybe I'll put a little like Dawn dish soap in there just to help it out a little bit, but that's about it. All right, so I have it plugged in. I did a couple squirts of some Dawn dish soap. I have it set for 180 minutes, pretty good amount of time. So I'm gonna go ahead, turn it on, let it do its thing, and I'll come back and I'll show you the outcome. All right, so the sonic cleaner is done. It is piping hot since I turned the heater on it. With this one, you could turn it on and off or whatever. But, so let's take a look at the outcome. Let's see if I can find it. Ooh, oh no, you can see it steaming. And we're in South Florida, so it's hot outside, so. But yeah, look at, let's see, let's try to get some of the water off. See how much cleaner that is? I mean, you can see through that. I mean, that's just the mesh right there, but literally all that carbon is off. That's what I'm talking about. That's why I like this little thing. This thing was fairly cheap. I forget what, I mean, I've had it for a while. I don't know what I paid for it, but definitely it does jewelry. I mean, you can do anything sonic clean. It gets that little tiny stuff out. So yeah, so let me start putting everything back together and fire this baby up. And this is the water that I was telling you about, how black it is. Remember what it was before. This is the other piece. Take that out, but yeah, you see how black the water is. I mean, it is dirty. Kill. All right, so let's go ahead and fire this up. I know I got it's not completely back together, but doesn't really matter. We could just fire it up and test it, see how it looks. All right, so I fired up a cold start pretty well with that new spark plug with the BRP AES. So it's an NGK brand, just so you know. But it's not the Iridium. I know some sites suggest that you have the Iridiums. Maybe I'll give that a go next time around when I go. I do have a couple spare spark plugs. But the BRP 8 on cold start started pretty easy. There wasn't an excess amount of fuel that came out at the exhaust. I didn't see a bunch of carbon blowing out. I did kind of blow out a little bit of the carbon, but I didn't see any blowout upon initial startup when it was on choke or anything like that. So it's pretty good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to fire it up, let it run a little bit, for a couple minutes, get up to like a normal operating temperature, and then come back and see how that sounds. All right, so it's up to operating temperature. Pretty warm. So it seemed to be running pretty decent with the BRP8. So I'm gonna take it to our camping trip and really put it to a load test, powering the trailer and the refrigerator and everything we have in there, and it'd be running for several hours. Here it only ran for maybe 20 minutes. So, but it did get up to operating temperature. So we'll put it to the real life test here in the next week or two, and we'll get back to you on that. So, but yeah, so I'm pretty happy with it, obviously. So, and for those who are concerned about my safety, yes, I'm in my garage, and yes, you are correct. You shouldn't be running a generator in your garage. But I do have a 3-car garage. All the doors are open. I do have this other door that was open, and it was only running for 20 minutes. So a lot of airflow through here. So I'm safe, but that's correct. For those people that need to be told because for some reason they forget, they don't know, they don't use common sense, do not run your generators in your garage. For some reason, here in Florida, every time there's a hurricane season, we always hear about several people that died because they had their generator inside their garage powering their house, and they went to sleep and they never woke up. Listen, put that thing outside. If it gets wet, it gets wet. If it breaks, it breaks. If someone steals it, they steal it. You could take it. You could take a chain and chain it up. That's what I do. I chain it to my cars. I usually chain it around the grill of the bumper of the Papa Beast, the Gladiator. Do something. I mean, if they take it or it goes or something, that's fine. Guess what? Go out and buy another one or go out and do something else. I mean, it's not worth your life because you want to save your $500 to $1,000 generator. I mean, come on. I can't believe we even have to talk about that. But anyway, I digress. So that brings us to the end of the video. I appreciate you guys checking this out. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification, share the video with any of your friends. We appreciate it, and we'll see you out in the trail.